മലയാളികൾക്ക് ഏറെ പ്രിയങ്കരനായ നേതാവ് മുഹമ്മദ് യൂസഫ് തരിഗാമിയാണ് ഇന്ന് ദേശാഭിമാനിക്കൊപ്പം ചേരുന്നത്. പതിറ്റാണ്ടുകളായി കശ്മീരിൽ ചെങ്കൊടി ഉയരത്തിൽ പാറിക്കുന്ന മുതിർന്ന നേതാവാണ് അദ്ദേഹം. പലവട്ടം തീവ്രവാദികൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ലക്ഷ്യമിട്ടിരുന്നു, തീവ്രവാദി ആക്രമണം അദ്ദേഹം നേരിട്ടിരുന്നു. എന്നാൽ അതിനെ ഒന്നും കൂസാതെ കശ്മീരിൽ ജനാധിപത്യത്തിൻ്റെ പുനഃസ്ഥാപനത്തിനായി ഇപ്പോഴും അദ്ദേഹം യജ്ഞത്തിലാണ്. ഗുപ്കാർ അലയൻസ് എന്ന ഒരു രാഷ്ട്രീയ കൂട്ടായ്മയ്ക്ക് അദ്ദേഹം നേതൃത്വം നൽകുന്നുണ്ട്. കശ്മീരിലെ നിലവിലെ സാഹചര്യങ്ങൾ എന്താണ് എന്നുള്ളത് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് ചോദിച്ചറിയാം. വെൽക്കം കോമ്രേഡ്.
യെസ്
Comrade, 3 years back, exactly on August 5th, 2019, the central government unilaterally abolished Article 370 and also revoked the statehood of Jammu Kashmir and bifurcated it into 2 union territories. And now they are claiming that everything is normal there. Militancy has come down. More and more investment is coming up. The people are living very peacefully. They are happy. Actually, what's the ground situation of Kashmir right now?
You see, the claims of the BJP government are not different from what they are talking about Kashmir and what they are talking about the rest of the country. Which promise, which claim substantially has been translated or implemented on the ground elsewhere as well. Sabka saath, sabka vikas. That was the agenda. That was the slogan advanced by Prime Minister himself on the eve of taking over as the leadership of the country as Prime Minister in 2014. Where is that sabka saath? Sabka saath means that people of Kashmir, Jammu, Ladakh should not matter in decision-making process, do not matter in making or taking their views into consideration? A simple question. You see, what happened on 5th August, it is not. It does affect the people of that erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh heavily, no doubt about that. But it's not limiting. It is not limited to that geographical area, that population alone. I have said, along with our General Secretary Sitaram Yachuri, when I got the opportunity to come to Delhi for medical examination soon after, and both of us, Sitaram and I, in September, we addressed a press conference in Delhi, and I said that it is just a beginning of a process to implement the larger project of Hindutva corporate capital. You see, what has been done in Jammu and Kashmir, they have undone whatever the foundations were laid down by the Constituent Assembly itself. For what? For the relationship between the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the Union itself. It's not just like removing some article. You see, there is a there is a document called Constitution that has given us the direction, the people of the entire country. That Constitution has laid down the basis for us to be together, to march together from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, from Kerala to Kashmir. That is under attack. That move regarding Jammu and Kashmir on that unfortunate day, 5th August 2019, was an assault, a brazen assault against that frame of the foundation of our relationship with the Union of India. Now how? You see, they claim that we have conducted parliamentary elections there in Jammu and Kashmir, so peace is there. They claim that we have conducted Panchayat Raj institutions. Why didn't they conduct assembly election before 2019 so that the assembly would have been there and its views could have been taken into consideration? A simple point. So that means everything is not normal. It was not normal then, it's not normal now. Now what is happening today? If everything is normal, recently what the government of India did, or what the Home Minister of India said, that there was some sort of a reduction in the size of the areas where EFSA has been operative in northeastern states. Why? They claim that normalcy is there. They have been claiming it since years together. Normalcy is in Kashmir and normalcy is in Jammu. Now, more so openly since 2019, after abrogating whatever the constitutional relationship, the frame of the rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, the normalcy, the peace narrative is being widely spread. Why don't they treat the people of Jammu and Kashmir the same way? Why EFSA is not being touched there? One point. The second thing is that if peace is there, if normalcy is there, why the elections were not held for J&K Assembly? Why the people of Jammu and Kashmir have been deprived of this constitutional right? So that means everything is not normal. Everything normal up there, even whatever standards this government has. So that's why there is a huge dissatisfaction. Now you might have heard yesterday Umar Abdullah was summoned.
Yes.
Earlier Farooq Abdullah was summoned. Earlier Mrs. Mufti Sayyid, an elderly lady, she was summoned by ED. And even if you go through the press, you will find out NIA is searching, and the cycle continues. The CBI is in operation. Public Safety Act, how many people, ask them, are under detention? For how long? UAPA, how many police stations, how many cases have been registered during this since 5 August 2019? They will express, they will tell us, the country people, how much normalcy has been restored. Can normalcy be restored through crackdowns? I doubt. Can normalcy be measured through lockdowns? Communication lockouts? You see, the sufficient, as far as our democracy is concerned, which we claim that it is a republic, it is a democracy, by Republican standards, by democratic standards, if the normalcy is not to be measured through crackdowns, through lockdowns, through clampdowns. So this is a simple thing. So that's why. Now they were telling us earlier that 370 was on their agenda. Whose agenda? RSS. RSS is yet to be considered as and representing the nation as a whole. I doubt. I don't see any reason that about their claim, if there is any. So the nation is something above all these partisan considerations. What is, in my view, getting damaged or got damaged heavily in Jammu and Kashmir is the sense of unity of the people of Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country. And this is something which, if I say it is anti-national, I may not be wrong. I should not be. I have no doubt in my mind that the interest of the country, it is contrary to that, as laid down in the broader frame of the Constitution of India.
And comrade, you are heading an alliance of opposition parties, Gupkar Alliance. And that alliance have made a declaration also, and the PM had called an all-party meeting in Delhi. And your major demands was to restore the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir and also conduct assembly elections as soon as possible. Are you satisfied with the response of central government?
What response we got? A response we got is later on This Umar Abdullah has been summoned, many others are being summoned and all that. Defections are being organized. So is this the response? You see, I must tell you, first of all, I am not heading that. CPIM is one component of that. I am of course one of the office bearers. But we are having a combination of different political forces and committed to the cause of working together for restoration of constitutional rights of the people of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. We met earlier, you see, Prime Minister convened the meeting, we thought over it, and finally we went to attend the meeting. Do you know, after summing up, Prime Minister said, Dil ki duriyan, gaps between heart and the people, those are getting widened, we have to address that issue. And gaps between duriyan, Delhi ki duriyan, Srinagar ki duriyan, means thereby the gaps between, the distance between Delhi and Srinagar is widening, has to be attended to. But tell me, is this the measuring yard AD like? Is this the measuring yard that even now assembly elections are not being held? Is this the measuring yard that for the first time in our constitutional history, republic, the delimitation of the constituencies is being done without taking into consideration the population itself? Population is not. I must warn, I must appeal to the countrymen. It has happened today in Srinagar. Unless you raise your voice, it can happen elsewhere. Now, delimitation is a constitutional process. We had done earlier in the assembly that new census will be conducted at the all India level, and with that, Jammu Kashmir constituency delimitation process will start with the rest of the country. And that is integration, I hope. We did not say anything more. But now they have not only dismantled the constitutional provisions regarding autonomy, they have dismembered the state. And they have dismembered while imposing curfew in the entire state, imposing restrictions, cutting the communication lines. Have you ever heard? Andhra got divided, UP got, Bihar got, but there was some debate in legislature, there was some debate in civil societies. People were given some opportunity to express their concerns. It is only one area where you are taking decisions in the parliament, supposedly for the people of a region, without them, not only without them, but putting them virtually under open prison. Is this the normalcy, signs of normalcy? Is this the governance which can cement our relationship, which can narrow down the space for the secessionism, militancy? I am worried that they have virtually, such a process has created a big void, deepened the uncertainties, not to the favor of the country, not to the favor of people of Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, any community whatsoever, but rather damaging the very fundamental interests of the entire country.
You talked about the delimitation process. The government is unilaterally forwarding with that process, and the number of seats in Jammu region is getting increased, and that sort of actions are happening. Do you suspect some foul play?
No, it's not. It's not a question of suspecting. It's now open. Now, tell me, usually after every census, we are initiating this process of delimitation and all that. That means what? Why only? There is a principle the principle is that the population is the basis for evaluating or delimiting the constituencies. Other considerations, topography and all that, are to be taken into consideration, but the fundamental basis of evaluating the size of the constituency, the boundaries of the constituency, is population. Because you are doing it for population. You can't do it minus. That has not been adopted. That's my worry. They have done it today in Jammu and Kashmir. They may do it tomorrow somewhere else. This is one. Secondly, this is happening under Reorganization Act. What is Reorganization Act? Under Reorganization Act, state, historic state, has been divided, and it has been downgraded as well. Union territories, from a historic state, a union territory. And you are initiating the process of delimitation under what? Under that Reorganization Act, which has been challenged by some of us in the Honorable Supreme Court. Should have not they waited for? We have challenged that. That is under the judicial scrutiny. When we don't accept it, and we have challenged the very basis of that formation of this delimitation commission, the process itself. Now again, you have raised the number, 7 seats. On which basis? There has to be certain criteria. Today, Kerala is having some sort of this number of seats. Tomorrow, all of a sudden, in absence of the Assembly of Jammu and this Kerala or the public opinion here, somebody will decide about raising the number.
Yes.
Will you accept it? And now you have raised it. Then, how will you distribute? On the basis of the population? Which is the census? Which year census you are taking into consideration? 2011. Get the record from the 2011 census and determine the process of delimiting the seats. You will find out Kashmir region is having much bigger number.
Yes.
Jammu is population.
Yeah, population.
For me, Jammu and Kashmir, I am for Jammu, I am for.
Yes.
For me, for CPIM, every individual, every group and every region, we belong to them, they belong to us. So it's not the question of, but the attempt is, by this government, by this delimitation process, to put one region against the other, dividing my people. That's my worry. This happens tomorrow, today there, this may happen somewhere else in the country. So that's why I appeal to the people of Kerala, and through your channel, other sections of the population in the rest of the country, that don't take it as local issue. It has much bigger implications. It will be late if not challenged today, if not contested today.
You talked about judicial scrutiny, and the matter is now pending in the Supreme Court for the last 3 years. You also had moved the Supreme Court. Are you satisfied with the pace of proceedings?
Satisfied with what? Satisfied with this, that we are being unheard? How can we?
Yeah.
You see, we have knocked at the door of the Honorable Supreme Court to get justice. And for the last 3 years, there is no hearing. I have moved another application, praying for hearing of those applications which are pending. And I don't know. So it's not the question of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. It's the question of there is some sort of a urgency which Honorable Supreme Court should have taken into view. And this delay, unfortunately, is causing anxiety among the larger sections of the population in Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh.
Comrade, now an attempt is made by the right-wing forces to tarnish the image of Kashmir people, to create a image that entire Kashmir people are bad or like that. Recently, a film has been released in the name of Kashmir Files. The theme of the film is regarding Kashmir Pandits and all that. Actually, what's the reality? What had happened at that time?
You see, the question is, That's a long story. First of all, there is Kashmir File is bigger than the size of whatever is being said. It's a painful story, very painful story. I, as a citizen and a concerned citizen, feel deeply disturbed about the way my brothers, sisters from that community were forced to leave out of here. And I must convey it that I was unfortunately the first person who was forced to migrate to Jammu in 89 itself. And I know how hopeless, helpless those who came later in November, in January, February, March, Kashmiri Pandits and many others, there was no response from the administration. Jagmohan was the governor. There was no local government. It's painful. Even when I left my home, when I left, not out of my own willingness, there was a narrow escape. I took the shelter in a family from my area, Kashmiri Pandit in Jammu. He was an employee in the secretariat. I remained with them. So the question is, it's a very painful story. But my only thing is, the Kashmir File, the way it is being promoted by the governments at different levels, both at center and the states of BJP, what do they aim at? Sharing the pain? Have they done anything? They have been in power since 2014. They have been sharing the state power and they have been directly ruling Jammu and Kashmir since years. Can we ask a question? What exactly they have done? They must come open and tell the country what they have done to reduce the pain of the Kashmiri Pandits. What exactly they have done? What measures they have taken for their dignified return to their home and hearth? There are many more people. I must tell my people, National Conference Bloc President Mohammed Yousuf Tarigami was the first who was killed by militants. Later on, there was a Kashmiri Pandit, Tikalal Tepelu advocate, who was killed. One more Kashmiri Pandit judge, he was killed. Then I was attacked. I survived. So my point is, you see, it's a process of pain. All of us, many of us have suffered. It's not the question of my pain and your pain. If my sister from Kashmiri Pandit was brutalized, it's painful for me. But if something bad has happened in Kannur Poshapura with many of our sisters, that too has to be counted. That too has to be shared. We were having Mir Wise, Kashmir, Maulvi Farooq. Who killed him? He was Mir Wise. Who killed Mir Wise, South Kashmir? Who killed, when Lasukol was a journalist working in TV, he was killed. But there was one more, Muhammad Shaban Wakil, a journalist. Who killed him? Recently, a few years before, only Shujat Bukhari, a senior journalist working for Hindu, he was brutally killed. So the question is not this. I am not I can't afford to differentiate between this pain or that pain. I must tell you, Sikhs have suffered. Migrant workers have been attacked. Who has created this situation? The same Kashmir, long before in 47, when because of partition, madness prevailed, dominated the scene. when lot of death and destruction took place, both across and here, even including Jammu. It was Kashmir Valley, where not a single such unfortunate incident took place. That is how Bapu, for us, not for many, he said, if there is any hope, any ray of hope, that is in Kashmir. Who destroyed that Kashmir? Let us have a debate. Let us discuss it. Kashmir has a bright face, unfortunately, because of the bad policies pursued by the governments, by present government particularly. Our face is being projected before the people of this country in a different way. But we are very sure darkness is prevailing. With the support of, I hope, with realization among the larger sections of the secular democratic forces of the country, the fog will end. Some ray of hope is there. Kashmir wants justice. Kashmiris want to live like the people in Kerala, like the people in the rest of the country. A better life, a dignified life. And that's how the PAGD is working for. That is how CPIM has been doing its bit to develop this process.
One last question, comrade. The leftist sympathisers in Kerala are very keen to know about the activities of CPM in Valley and the future of the left movement in Valley.
Why are you talking about the left? The question is survival of Kashmir is at stake. It's a much bigger problem. Please do understand it. I am working there as a CPM. That expresses itself that we are together doing something which is good for the country, good for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And I am here to seek support of the larger community of the population, right from Kerala to Assam to Northeast to everywhere. Kashmir is burning, bleeding. Please support us. Please share the pain. Thank you very much.